Hello friends, welcome. I'm glad you're here today. So I don't know about you, but I absolutely love this time of year. And not only do I love fall for the weather and all the yummy goodies that come out this time of year, which that's definitely part of my favorite. I also love fall crafting. So part of that is definitely Halloween, and I love the colors of Halloween. So this is just one of my favorite times of year to craft. So that being said, today I have made some really fun, spooky treat boxes for us to make. So let's go ahead and change the camera and take a look at them. All right, you might notice my surface is a little different today. I've got my rubber mat down that I can use my heat gun and kind of protect my table. So that's what is going on there. I've got my inks over here, and here are our treat boxes. So this one is one of my favorites. And you can kind of see around there, I have decorated the edges. And, you know, I kept them simple on purpose because when you're making a bunch of treat boxes, you know, you got to kind of keep it on the easy side or it's going to be harder to mass produce them. So I wanted to do it in such a way that I could make 20, 25 of these for a whole classroom of kids and still be able to do it in a reasonable amount of time. So let's take a look at the products that I used. It looks like a big stack, but it's really not too bad. This is called the Mini Treat Box Die, and this is kind of the foundation for my treat box, and it does such a great job. It die cuts perfectly every single time. It's got all your fold lines all in there. It's very easy to put together. All right, then the other die set that I'm using is the Build a Graveyard. And if you don't have this and you enjoy Halloween crafting, this is definitely one you might want to add to your stash because it's got so many different ways of building different styles of gravestones. And you have this piece that makes it real easy to make a shaker card. So, good morning. How are you? I'm so glad you're here. How are you doing? I love your fall crafting that you've been doing. We've got Nancy the Handy Scandy with us today. So, okay, here are the other 3 stamp sets that I used to decorate. I used the Grave Epitaphs. This is a newer set for Halloween, and it is called Home Sweet Haunted Home, and I specifically loved using this one right here, which we will use today. And then to kind of add some texture to my background, I did use the mixed media bits, which is also a favorite of mine. So, all right, to begin, we're going to make our background paper that I used to make my tombstones. So I'm going to start out with some sturdy, smooth cardstock, and this one is some distress cardstock that is made by Ranger. And I'm also going to use some distress stains. And I'm going to layer these 3 colors up to give myself just a multicolored background. So this is frayed burlap, faded jeans, and bundled sage. The way these work, they've got a little clicker on top. So when you put it down, you kind of push down and that kind of opens it up. And you can see now that I've got my ink flowing there. So anytime it stops flowing, just kind of press down and that's going to open it up. And to do this, there's no right or wrong. It's just all over the place. Just layer it up. I love this blue color mixed in. You'll see why when I'm all done here. Have to keep pressing down. Just a little more over here. I love it when you get some darker spots in there. Sometimes when you do your pressing, you get little circles. All of that is very good. Hello, Mr. Enigma. How are you? Dee and Larry from Idaho. Glad you're here today. Ooh, yeah, you need to get that treat box die. That's a great one. Okay, now we're going to go in and I'm going to kind of cover most of it with this frayed burlap. And this is why it's important to start with a heavy-duty cardstock on the bottom, because it's going to take a lot of liquid here. Okay. Now I'm going to come back with just a little bit more of my lightest color, just to kind of fill in some areas. Especially out here on the edges. Okay. Alright. Okay, I think I'm done. I'm happy with my distress stains. The next thing I'm going to come to is my mixed media bits. So I'm going to pull out that stamp set, and I'm going to choose a couple of them to add some texture with ink onto my background here. And I'm going to be using some solid black. So tell me, those of you that are here with me in the chat, is mixed media, do you like making these kind of mixed media backgrounds? And when I'm stamping this down into my ink, I'm not caring whether I get a big solid thing, because I'm just going to kind of stamp it multiple times, overlap it. You see how that's giving... That's going to help just make my tombstone have texture, okay? One more corner. There we go. All right, I'm also going to use this one. I'm not going to use it quite as many times, but I want to get some of those heavier spots on there. All right, I think that's good. Okay, I'm going to hold that up so you can see it so far. We're building up layers here. Just going to set these out of the way so I can clean them later. And let's see. The next thing, which this is one of my favorites, I am going to add a little bit of this Deco Foil Metallics. And this is just a fun product. It has lots of uses, but one of the things I like to do, I just get a little bit on my spatula. And now I'm just going to smear it on there. And you can do as little or as much as you want to. Whoa, that time I got quite a bit, didn't I? But there's just, I'm going to smear that around, getting some stripes. Okay. Now, one thing when you use this, you want to go ahead and clean off your spatula really quickly. Do these stamps come digital? You know what? I'm not sure. I don't use digital too often, and I'm afraid I'm not one that I've, looked through them enough to know which ones come that way. But often, stamps that are popular, they do come, they'll have pieces of it, maybe not every single one, but some of it will be digital. But I don't know if the mixed media bits come that way. Okay, so yeah, the Deco Foil stuff, you don't want to let it dry on your surfaces. It wipes up real easily when it's wet, but if you let it dry, it's good to wipe it up. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just hit this real quickly with my heat gun, because we've got one more thing we want to do here to our tombstone piece before we move on. And it dries pretty quickly. I'll just give it a head start. Let me test it here. Well, it's still pretty wet, but we're going to go ahead and move on. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some of this clear, shiny crackle paint made by Ranger. And it's going to pick up some of this metal and move it around, but I'm okay with that. I just want to show you how this really brings your background to life. Once you get this on there and it kind of gives that crackly texture. I love this stuff. And it's so easy to apply. You just paint it on there. And again, we're going to hit this real quick. And this is called the Tim Holtz Distress Crackle Paint. And it's great to have in your craft room. All right, let's go ahead and hit this with the heat gun one more time. And we're going to set this aside and let it dry. All right, I'm going to set that one aside. Now, one thing I did do, and I'll pull out my other one that I've done in advance. This is actually the one we're going to use, is I went back and I did just very light sprays of some distress spray stain. So it's pretty much the same thing that's in here, except it's in a spray bottle instead. And that's what gave me my dark patches around there. So I did do that as well. I'm not going to do that on this one because it needs to dry. And also, you definitely want to do this spray like in a box or something because it comes out in a pretty big splash. Okay, so we're going to set our background back there. Out of this background, let's go ahead and cut ourselves some gravestones. Headstones, that's what they're called, headstones. And I'm going to use these larger outside ones, and I like to, you know, you can kind of look around your paper, see where it has a color and design that you like there. Let me see. I really like some lights and darks, so I'm going to, that one about right there, and this one about right here. So I'm going to go ahead and tape that down and run that through my die cut machine. So I have found when you're making treat boxes, whether this is Halloween treats, Christmas treats, whatever there, it's best if you can do that you know, the month before the holiday. Waiting till the last minute can really turn it into a daunting task, where if you work on them ahead of time, you know, and have them all ready to go, then it's such a joy to share them and give them. So if you're thinking about making treat boxes, I encourage you to get started right away. That way you can have the joy of making them and giving them without the stress with the holiday coming up too soon. And I know you don't need me to tell you that, but sometimes I need to remind myself. So I was really happy to get started on these here in September so that come October, I will be ready to go. Just pulling this off carefully, trying not to pull up my paper, because there we go. All right, look at that. Isn't that great? I love it. All right. Now, another thing I'm going to do down here on this end is I'm going to lay each one on here again, and we're going to cut out one more time. Because our treat boxes, our gravestone needs a front and a back. Alright, so these are going to be, you can see on the back side that that's going to be seen. So rather than leave that white, we're going to layer that up, make sure it has a front and a back. Now, if you were making 20, 30 of these and you didn't want to have to cut it out twice, you could just take a piece of like black paper and make it on the back, you know, something like that, so that you're not having to use not having to make so much of your textured ones. But I have time, so I'm just going to go ahead and make a front and a back. So on each one of these, I'm just going to go ahead and glue this right on the back. There we go. On there straight. Another thing, doubling them up like this makes it nice and sturdy, so that's not going to get bent. See how it's, even the ones I did here? Another thing that makes that extra strong like that is by adding your crackle paint. Once your crackle paint dries, it adds just another layer of strength to your piece of cardstock there. That's really nice. So one thing I like to do when I'm at this point is to come in with a little dauber. And let's see, which one do I want to do? I'll go ahead and do some black. We'll do one on black and one on green. So I'm just going to go around here with my black dauber and ink up those edges. Otherwise, you do see that white paper, and I like to get rid of that. And see how it gives just a nice edge. But I love that light green. I don't want to lose that. All right, I think we've taken care of the white edges there. You know what? I think I will just go ahead and do black on this one too. I really like the way that turned out. Yeah. All right, so there we go. All right, so for our next textured background, let's pull out our inks. And I'm going to use these things called Pouncers. Now, Whimsy Stamps used to carry Pouncers. I'm not sure. I could not find them on the website. So it may be that they don't carry them anymore. But if that's the case, you will, if you don't have these, they're just a big spongy, they're like a dauber, but great big. But they're a fun way to get fun textures. And I'm literally going to do just like they're called. I'm going to pounce them. And I'm not going to do the whole paper because I've got one over here ready to go, but I wanted to show you how I made it. Now see how you get your circles? I want that because that's going to give me that fun texture. So that was Catherine Pooler's Eucalyptus color. Now I'm going to use some slate and go right over the top. Okay. And then my last one I'm going to do is champagne. And this is how I'm going to get, like I used my metal in the background here for this piece. I'm going to use this and just, okay. All right, now from this point, I went ahead and I did the same thing I did with this background. I used my mixed media bits to just stamp around just like we did before. Just, whoops, stuck. Okay, randomly stamp that up. And for this piece, we're going to go back to our die set of our Gravestones. And I'm going to take these inner two. Now you can cut these apart, but I left mine together on purpose. And that's going to make a little detail for my gravestone. And so I'm going to use this piece that I already have finished, but I did it the exact same way. And we're just going to go ahead and die cut ourselves a couple of these. There we go. So to me, the most fun part of this project was making these fun tombstones. So that's kind of why I'm going to the trouble to show you, you know, my whole process there and making that, because I just think that's fun. I could sit in my craft room and just make backgrounds like this all day long. So, all right, I'm going to save these little bits to use on some other Halloween cards. You may see them show up later on this month, because I'm going to have several of them after making 20 of these. Now we're just going to go ahead and attach these onto the front of our tombstones. Now, if you wanted to, you could go around the edges with your black ink again, just to, you know, add some definition. I probably did that on my originals. But you can see how adding this that doesn't have the crackle paint just gives you, you know, a little different. And I started out on gray paper with these because I wanted it to look like it's raised. You know, I wanted a contrast between my shiny background and this piece that's added on. All right. All right, to finish these off, we're just going to do a little bit of embossing. I'll grab my stamp block here, and let's decide what we want our tombstones to say. So this is such a fun set of grave epitaphs. I knew it was epitaphs. I couldn't remember if it was headstone or grave. But we're going to pick out which one we want it to say. So I think I'm going to do this little skull this time. I'm going to add this little skull right up here. And then I think I'll just put the RIP. Okay, so now that I have them positioned where I want them, I'm going to pick them up with my block. Oh yeah, I didn't tell you. I'm purposely not using any anti-static because I have this nice gold added in the background. So if it gets a little bit of gold over, I'm okay with that. That's going to add just more texture and more detail to my old stone here. So I'm okay with that. Just making sure I get that covered well. Yeah. Oh yeah, that looks good. Okay. Now for our next one, let's see, what do we want to put on this one? Let's put this bat up here at the top. And then, you have to pick one small enough to fit in that little up to no good. Let's put up to no good on there. Okay, and for this one, I'm going to grab this other block. And same thing. All right. Let's go ahead and heat set these and we'll be ready to build our box. Yes, you can absolutely get messy on this project. In fact, the messier the better. We'll melt that real quick. I've got my heat gun on high instead of medium, so it might warp it a bit. If I was doing this not on camera, I would probably do it on medium so I got less warping of my paper. But it's really not too bad. Like I said, that's pretty thick, so all right. Whoops, missed part of the piece. There we go. Did I get that? I might have stuck my finger in it. Okay, that's all right. Go ahead, put that there. We have our tombstones ready to go. And I wish, oh, I love this one. You see why I chose to stamp it over on the edge where I got those lights and darks? I really like that, the way it looks. Just looks like an old mossy kind of rock out there. So, okay, we're going to set those aside. And I have two of our boxes And I'll go ahead and do this one. I'm not going to decorate this one, but I'm going to show you how I decorated this one. And I want to use a stamp positioner, so I'm going to grab that. And I'm going to put that right in here. And then I'm going to take some Post-it notes. Post-it notes are your friend. And we're just going to line them up right here. I went back and forth which way I wanted my top and what I wanted to be my bottom. So I'm going to make this my bottom this time. On these, I made that the top and this one little flat, but this time I'm going to do that the other way around. So let's see how we like that. Okay. All right. And we're going to go to our home, sweet haunted home. And we're going to get this piece. And I want this piece to be right about here, but I don't want my top of my house to go over my lid. So I'm going to position it about right here. So some of it's going to stamp onto these. And then I'm also going to grab this one that says Home Sweet Haunted Home, and we're going to put it right here. You know what? I did that backwards. We're going to move this one over to here. And this one is going to go right here. Okay. Get those down. And I am going to use my VersaFine Claire because it's brand new. So I've got a nice, juicy, ready to go one. So okay. And just a little bit of elbow grease on that one. There we go. All right, now you can kind of see how I did that. I would go ahead and move this one over to right here and finish stamping that out. And then this little section that is the tree, I would go ahead and stamp that right here as well, doing it the exact same way. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how these go together because it is so fast and easy. Okay. Let me throw these away before I make a mess out of them. All right, so the way I like to put these together, it's pretty self-explanatory, but I like to turn it upside down and fold in all of the pieces on each side. And then go ahead and burnish them. Open them up, go to the other side, and same thing. Fold them all in. And this just makes it so easy to mass produce by having this die that just makes your box for you. You don't have to do a bunch of complicated measuring and cutting and all of that. It's just all there for you, all measured and ready to go. I love that. All your score lines are there. It really speeds up the process. So now that I've got the two sides done, I'm going to come back and just one at a time bring it this way. Okay, so now that we've got all the folds burnished, oops, I forgot one. We got this one right here on this tab. All right, so this is going to be my top, and this is going to be my bottom. So I'm going to fold this one and this one, these two with this little strange angled part, and that's where I'm going to put some glue. I'm going to bring those together. Okay, if you look, I only put my glue down here. I want to leave up here by this straight part. I'm leaving that open. And I'll show you why. Glue that. But now when I bring this, I'm going to tuck it in right there. Okay? See that? So I've tucked that piece inside. Now this little flap right here, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of glue to it. And then go ahead and let that come shut. And reach inside with my finger and hold it closed. And, you know, with that wet glue, you have a second to kind of use your fingers to straighten that up. All right. Now, we're going to add our tombstone right here. Just going to glue that right onto there, just like that. All right, now I'm going to open this up. I'm going to add my treats. I've got myself a little bag of Skittles I'm going to put in there. And I've got myself a miniature Snicker bars I'm going to put in there. I'm just going to put that down in there. And now I'm going to close my box up. And there we go. Look at that. We've got our sweet treats ready to go. Now I did decorate these a little bit. Let me grab those. I made this fun black cat out of some glitter foam, and I'm going to go ahead and attach him. I put a little piece of yellow paper back there behind his eyes, so he has a nice glowing eyes. We're just going to glue him right here on the front. Whoops, I'll raise him up just a tad. There we go. And I also took a couple little of these, the little bats, and I'm going to add those onto my side as well. Now those are little tidbits that you wouldn't have to do. You could leave that part off. In our tombstone, I love this house right here. In our tombstone die set, we do have some little fence pieces. So on this one, I decorated it using those little fence pieces that I just cut out of the second paper we made that we didn't paint. And then I kind of wanted to try some other things, so I did try it out of pumpkins. And I made some fall leaves and stuff, and I used a stencil there to make my spider. So, you know, you can make them as spooky or as cutesy as you want to go. But there's just an idea for you to make some fun treat boxes. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera back. All right, if you enjoyed this project and you're interested in any of the products, they are listed right there below. Below the video. I love it when y'all participate there in the chat, and I love it when you make comments there on YouTube. So if you have any questions or anything you'd like to chat about concerning these treat boxes, do give me a comment there in the comments, and we always appreciate your thumbs up and things like that there on YouTube. It helps distribute the videos. So I hope everybody has an amazing fall and that you have some fun making some fall crafts this season, and I look forward to crafting with you again next Thursday. Okay, have a great day. Bye-bye.